Hello everybody. Today we'll look into one of the important functions in Excel. Not only in Excel, throughout your data science, data analytics, any digital world, you will use this function called if. This is useful to learn your logical reasoning. So what is this if function? If function is one of Excel's most fundamental tools. It checks whether a condition is met. If it is met, it returns a value called true value, otherwise false value. Purpose is to evaluate a logical condition and branch to two different outcomes, one true value, one false value. The syntax is very simple. You start the function if, open a bracket, you have three arguments, logical test, true value, false value, and close it. What does it return? The values that returns is logical true or false. You can use custom text, numbers, or even formulas inside your true value or false values. It is widely used across all digital world, not only in Excel, data science, even in life you make decisions. Should I join a job or not? So you'll ask if the salary is greater than, let's say, 20,000. You'll join, otherwise not join, right? So decisions are made, maybe 2 lakhs. We make decisions based on some conditions. The same thing works with logical if in our Excel as well. So let me show you with this. For this, I have prepared a data. I'll be sharing this link also in the chat. Download this file and start working along with me. There'll be some questions asked. We'll answer these questions and make ourselves powerful with Excel. So let me show you. In MS Excel I'm using. If I want to know about this function, I'll click on this FX box. I get this function box where I can search for the functions. As I search for if, the first function is if. It checks whether a condition is met and returns true value, otherwise false value. You can see the arguments are 3, a test, and so on. So what are logical tests? To understand that, we have some operators: equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. If these logical operators are asked, for example, 2 equal to 3, so this you can say no, right? In English you would say no. In logics we call it as false. Same way you can say 2 less than 3. There is a logical test. Using these operators, the answer will be true. So these logical operators result in true or false, which are also called as Boolean. So you test a particular value with another value. If the answer turns out to be true, what to do, you will decide. If not, what to do. So that's what you can see on logical test. Let me show an example. If I ask 2 less than 3, you can see the result is true. If it is true, I can type any words like 2 is lesser. Otherwise, I can say 2 is not lesser. Okay, like this I can have my this. You can see the final answer is also 2 is lesser. In this case, if I just change this to 20, you will see 20 is lesser, 20 is not lesser. Okay, this logic we'll have to be using in this. So let's look at the next slide what it says. So how to use this? In this example, you can see there is a sales target and sales achieved. So you can check for this 4,800. If it is greater than or equal to 4,500, the true value will be achieved. Otherwise, you'll say not achieved. So this entire thing you'll put it in this function if. So I'm asking the cell D5 greater than or equal to C5. True value is achieved, otherwise not achieved. Okay. So this is the simplest and most common if pattern. It has got two clear outcomes. So we'll see that with our questions now. Either use your Google Sheets or use Excel for better working because we are learning Excel function. So I'm coming to column G. The question is if the test score is greater than or equal to 50, display pass, otherwise fail. So I'm starting the function. Any function formula, you should start with equal to sign. Then typing the if function. As you get this suggestion, use tab key. Tab will autofill the required syntax. You get to see first argument is logical test. So I'm going to ask if test marks, that is in D2 it is, if it is greater than or equal to 80. Now the condition is this, and the true value is going to be pass. So pass is a text, so I'm putting it in quotations. If that is not true, then I have to feed what should I display, typing it as fail. If this condition works, pass, otherwise fail. You can see arrow is pass. The reason is this got 88, which is more than 50, right? Sorry, I have to make it as 50. Pass. Let me just copy this. Either copy this, Control C, and select the range and paste. Or another way is you go to this bottom right, you'll get a plus black sign. You can double click or drag that to the required cells. Let me ask you, why is Krish showing fail? Because Krish test mark is 32, which is lesser than 50. Therefore, it is fail. The next question is about attendance status. There's a column called attendance showing in percentage, it seems. 95% RO, Kabir is 76%, and so on. So now the status, attendance status question, if that column attendance is 75 or more, it will display eligible, otherwise not eligible. So the function starts with if. The question is attendance greater than or equal to 75. If this is true, we'll say eligible, otherwise we'll say not eligible. Since it is a text, I'm putting in quotations. You can see it's a simple if, one logical test, one true value, one false value. We got the answer. Let's use dragging. Drag it until the last question. You can see, for example, Sarah is not eligible. Why so? Because her percentage in attendance is only 73, which fails to be 75 or more. So she is not eligible. The next one, assignment status. Assignment status is asking for this column. It should say yes. If it is yes, you will say complete, otherwise missing. So we are checking with the logical test for this yes. So I'm typing this cell address, which is E2, E2. If this is same as YES, YES, then you will say complete, otherwise missing. Simple logical test, true value, false value. We'll drag this down or double click. Better it's dragging is better. Let's drag it. I'll drag it down till here. You can see Mira is also having no inner assignment submitted. Since it is showing no, the answer is status is missing. Okay, now let's look at bonus. If test score and project score, here comes and. Both of these columns should be greater than or equal to 80. Then give a bonus of 10, otherwise zero bonus. So here it is. Before understanding this, we'll see one more. So let's look at this. So when you have multiple columns, more than one column, let's say there is test score column and also project score column. If these satisfy, both should satisfy. So for that we use a logical operator called AND. You will have logical 1, logical 2. If both of these are true, then the entire logic will become true. Then you can check that as a condition and two of this, then give a true value and false value. Similarly, you have OR, which will check either one of them, not is just the opposite. We'll see AND in our example now. So we have bonus given to those who have both test score and project score more than 80. So I'm starting with if. Now since I have to select two columns, I'll use AND. The first column is test score greater than or equal to 80 and project score greater than or equal to 80. So observe that AND itself is a function which has got logical test inside. So two tests are being checked in and results true if both are true. Then I'm going to say, what if and results true? What we'll have to do? We'll have to give 10 as marks, extra marks. 10 is a number, so I'm not quoting it. Similarly, if it fails, either one fails, then I'll give zero bonus. So you can see Arav gets 10. Let's see who else gets 10. Okay, Isha. Isha also gets 10 because her test score is 92 and project score is 89. Both are more than 80, so she got 10. Well, Vivan has got 67 and 71. Both are wrong. Both are less than 80, so it is 0. Okay, let's move to the next question. This should be simple. If the student scores 60 or more, we'll say good, otherwise needs simple in project marks, right? In the project marks. So let's go to project marks. If that is project mark in the F column, so click on this cell 91 greater than or equal to. If it is more than 60, it says so greater than or equal to 60. We'll say good, otherwise needs improvement. So any text values you should quote. It says good for Arav. As we move down, for example, for Arjun, since his project mat is just 41, it says needs improvement. Okay. The next column, grade. Grade should come with these criteria. There are so many criteria to decide. If the test score is more than 80 or 80, it's A. If it is 70 or more, B. 60 or more, C. 50 or more, D. Otherwise, F grade. So the moment you say no for first condition, not greater than 80, it's understood the number is between 0 to 80, 79. So within that lot, we again check if it is greater than 70. So to write this, we use this trick. Like we'll check if it is greater than or equal to 80. If it is true, we'll give A. Otherwise, else we go for this condition. Again ask, is it greater than or equal to 70? If it is true, we'll get B, else we'll take this. So this concept is called as nested if. Multiple conditions are there, right? So this, if you want to see, if there are multiple conditions on the same column, we're going to use like this: if inside, if inside, if inside, if, like that. So we'll do this activity in our Excel file. So we are checking the test score again. The test score is in column D. We are asking for 80. If it is greater than or equal to 80, we'll give A as the grade. Job is done. But what if you say no? That is, if it is false, what to do? We don't have suddenly to decide anything. So we ask one more if inside this bigger function. So this is the second if I am using inside. So now again the condition we need to type D2, that is the cell. We're going to ask if it is greater than or equal to 70. If so, we'll give B. Otherwise, we'll check again if B2 greater than or equal to 60, we'll give the value as C. If not, we'll check again T2 greater than or equal to 50. If so, we'll give D grade. Now, if all of these are failing, the last option is below. It is automatically understood. The last condition, you don't have to type D2 less than 50. It is understood it will be 50. So we'll use else as E. As many brackets you open, so many you should close. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's telling A grade for Arav. As I drag this down, let's take an example. Arjun again. Arjun's grade is E. This is so because he's got just 38, which means it is not true for the first four conditions. The last option is given. E as the answer. Okay. This is how we work on nested ifs. Okay. So when to decide which one to use? For example, if you have a single condition, if you have single column with single condition, then simply use one if. Just like ask a question, if true give something, otherwise give some other value. In nested ifs, you will be considering single column only, single column, but multiple conditions. Like you have A grade for something, B grade for something else. Like that, you have different answers for different conditions, multiple conditions. Then you use if inside another if, and so on. These are called as nested ifs. If you have more than two columns, column 1 and column 2 having different conditions, that is multiple column, multiple conditions, we go for complex if, which involves logical functions like and, or, not. This is called as complex if. So we learned all these three things just now. When it comes to true value or false value, you can have just numbers like we did for bonus 10 or 0, or we can have some text also like we displayed good, needs improvement. We can do that, or we can include the formulas inside. The formulas of function. For example, if you want to display target achieved by B6, so that is being used as a concatenation function. Concatenate, there's a function which merges this text with the cell value like this. Or you can also use date functions to check the condition, or even in the true values you can use them. False values also. One of the other trick is if you find any errors in the text, if the error appears as you calculated, then the is error will result it as true. If it is true, what to do? Otherwise, what to do? Example here given is division. Generally, division with any zero as denominator gives an error. You would see something like hash division error. If such cases are, you can pick it as blank. Otherwise, you can show the actual division. So that's a trick in all this logical test, true value, false value. Although it's optional, true value and false values, it is good to always include both. If you have single column, single condition, use a simple if. If you have many conditions on the columns, you will use nested ifs. In the coming sessions, we will also learn a powerful function called IFS. It's an advanced level of if. You can do nesting for 5 levels, but it becomes little complex. So in such cases, we can use advanced function like IFS or switch. You can see that we use logical test with equal to for text. So when you are comparing text, you should be careful that equal sign will result true for this lowercase equal to uppercase also. So if you're more worried about case sensitive, you should use a function called exact, a text function where you can refer any cell, let's say A5, and you can check like if it is proper A5 or so, if you are keen about case sensitive. Otherwise, simply use equal to. Some of the tips here. You also have aggregations if you want to add only for this condition or find out average and so on. The 5 important aggregations are count, min, sum, max, average. If you are doing such activity, directly use the advanced function like sum if, count if, average if, and so on. If you have multiple conditions, use IFS functions. And remember using cell referencing, using dollar symbol before the column or before the row number. Always test with something like in my case we used RO. RO was having more than 80, so we understood it's correct. Somebody like Ishan had less than 40, so we understood it's a fail. So do the test cases before deploying. Break complex logic into multiple columns if you want more clarity. So simple syntax, 3 conditions for if. Always try to include all these arguments. If you have multiple ifs to be used, if it is up to 5, you can go for IFS. By chance, if you have more, better than that would be advanced function called IFS. Or even switch is also there. When you have multiple columns to work with, remember to use and, or, not logical operators. And is true when all the logics are true. Or is false when all logics are false. All logics are false. Not is just like negation. If you say true, the not of true will give you false. For advanced functions like aggregations, better use if functions there only. Sum if, count if, average ifs, and so on. Use if error to avoid errors in your values. You can also mix, concat, date, such kind of functions within these 3 arguments. Always test between the boundary values, like I did bigger number, smaller number, and test it out if it's working, and then only deploy to your management or the client. With that, we understood what is powerful if function in Excel. So I want you to download this and practice this and leave a comment if you could do this. All the best. Happy learning.